Hello and good evening, everyone, and happy Vesak, I should say, um, or blessed Vesak. Really, it's not about temporary happiness, but when you are able to recollect the qualities of the Buddha, of course, it greatly uh, brings your joy and your true happiness. That's not dependent on anything physical, external things. So. Yes, this is a Vesak day, Vesak mantra, the Sagadawa. Sagadawa goes for whole month, and we have these teachings on the qualities of the three jewels as a subject of this unit. Thank you everybody joining me, and everyone else on Zoom as well as on other platforms. It seems we have been able to encourage people to watch more on YouTube than on Zoom. For some reason, that was the message I think we gave for some reason. Anyway, there are some of you who are here on Zoom as well as on Facebook. Of course, before the teachings, I will do tonight. I will do the refuge in the Pali language. The whole idea of talking about the qualities, three jewels, is that all the Buddhists should not be segregated by ethnicity or language or culture or traditions or let alone lineages, but they should really all remember they have refuge in the Triple Gem. And so usually Tibetans do refuge prayer they call written by Atisha or somebody who is 11th century Indian master. That's fine, but of course Theravadins do not think that Tibetans do any refuge that they can relate to, because they have all these multi-faced deities and so on. Every lineage is all focused on one particular deities. And they often wonder whether Tibetans got refuge in the Triple Gem. Of course we do, that's why I wanted to focus that our refuge is in the Triple Gem, not in deities, not in lineages, not in schools, not different hats. Tonight I'm going to do the refuge prayer in Pali language. So usually they start with Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddha, which is paying homage to the Buddha, listing most of the 9 epithets I referred last week. And then Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangam, those 3 refuges. And then you repeat them 3 times, first time, second time, third time. So you join your hands at the heart, and you can do, many of you probably know this, we should all know how to do the refuge in Pali language or in Sanskrit language. Remembering the Buddha and his qualities and the Triple Gem is incredible merit. It's best meditation. Even the deities got no real, all the deity yoga is Buddha yoga. Really, if you think that your deity that's unique to your lineage is so special, give me a break. It's about Buddha yoga. It's the refuge in the Buddha that's manifested in the form of a deity. If you don't know the qualities of Buddha, what is the quality of all those deities? Remove obstacles, give you wealth, give you fertility. What the hell do you think Buddhism is all about? It is not about those. So that's why everyone who is devotedly doing sadhanas each day, they should remember that they're your supreme deity, whether it's Chakrasambhara or Guya Samanja or Yamantaka or Vajra or Vajrayogini or Tara or whatever it is. They're all Buddha because they are Buddha manifested. So the qualities of the 3 jewels, and particularly the Buddha jewel, is so important. So there's enormous merit in not only knowing the qualities, but remembering. And then your sadhana practice has a lot more devotion. a lot more understanding. So anyway, without further ado, I'll do the refuge prayer. Please join me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Tutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Tutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. So as usual, before receiving teachings or giving teachings, it's even, of course there's enormous merit just reflecting on the triple gem, but even it's more meritorious if you do this for the benefit of all sentient beings with altruistic motivation. So with that in mind, reminder, now I'm going to focus on where we left last week. Last week and the previous two sessions we talked about the etymological meaning of the word ratna, three ratna. And then last week we talked about the 9 epithets of the Buddha, which very much talks about the various qualities of the Buddha in those 9 epithets. Tonight I'm going to talk specifically the qualities of the Buddha gem itself. This is not necessarily, this will probably more boost the understanding of the 9 epithets we discussed last week. Of course, trying to talk about the qualities of the Buddha in one session is a very feeble effort. Nobody can substantially talk about the qualities of Buddha at all. Even if they have countable eons, it is beyond our imagination, beyond our ability. It's inconceivable, it is said. But those few things that we can remember in our little mind, so therefore we can therefore recognize few specific qualities of Buddha. Because remember, when we go for refuge, you have to have refuge with faith in the Buddha as an emotional cause, and you have to fear from samsara or selfishness, or on top of that with the dualistic impure perception. So with that fear, you have to have faith in the qualities of the Buddha gem and Dharma gem and Sangha gem. But if you don't have understanding of the qualities, you could not go for refuge. You can go blindly, theistically thinking Buddha is some external God or spiritual, supernatural power who will give you blessings because they see the Buddha weeping, or because they think the Buddha winking, or people have reported various kind of experiences, but what if you find Buddha winking to you? What does it mean? I mean, it sounds really completely unnecessary to me to try to make it very, very magical. But main thing is, if you know the qualities of Buddha, then he definitely has. Then you will really see the qualities the qualities Buddha is instilling faith and joy, so that you can truly shed tears, that you have merit to know the Buddha. Knowing the Buddha is, and having faith is knowing the Buddha and hearing the Buddha's teaching and having faith is constitute one of the most important factors of precious human rebirth. Whether you have precious human rebirth or not is having faith in the triple gem, Buddha gem. If you have all the other 17 characteristics of precious human rebirth, it's pretty superficial if you don't have refuge in the Buddha. So therefore, having devotion to the Buddha is important, because even the Buddha came, he gave teachings, Sangha is there, so what if we don't have devotion in the Buddha? So in order to have devotion in the Buddha, we need to know as much as qualities of the Buddha gem and the Dharma gem and Sangha gem. So that's why qualities we have to know. The qualities of the Buddha can be classified into 5. Qualities of his holy body, qualities of his holy speech, qualities of his holy mind, and qualities of his qualities, the fourth is qualities, and then qualities of his enlightened activities. So first let's look at the qualities of his body. Qualities of his body, I wanted to make it not too esoteric, this discussion. Usually in Mahayana and Vajrayana circles, we talk about 3 kayas, 3 bodies, But let's not need to talk about 3 bodies. Let's talk about just Nirmanakaya alone. Nirmanakaya is the emanation body, because Theravadins also related the Shakyamuni Buddha is Nirmanakaya. I mean, Nirmanakaya that actually born as a Bodhisattva Siddhartha and then came to the Buddha world, endowing 32 major and 80 minor marks. So every Nirmanakaya manifestation, the excellent Nirmanakaya, we're talking about excellent Nirmanakaya. Nirmanakaya has excellent Nirmanakaya, birth Nirmanakaya, artistic Nirmanakaya. Historical Shakyamuni Buddha is excellent Nirmanakaya, which means his body, his holy body, endows 112 marks. First 832 are major signs, we call signs, Bhattis Lakshan, and then 80 minor marks, 80 minor characteristics. So 32 plus 80 is 112 distinctive physical attributes, which by merely beholding even small part of the Buddha's body, in excellent body, people merely laying their eye on the Buddha again have become liberated. Liberation through sight, I call it. Objects do influence us. When you see a beautiful object, it just completely captivates. Buddha's Nirmanakaya basically blessed most of the people. Don't even have to hear Buddha. They just saw him, and that was already. Even though some discourses, dialogue took place between Buddha and somebody, but they actually was already blessed just by merely beholding the Buddha. And this is not just the Buddha in flesh, but Buddha of his relics, his consecrated statues and tankas, all of these. When we regard them as a none is only second to the physical Buddha, and regard them with all the faith and devotion we know the Buddha endows, physically, verbally, mentally, and if we honor them by paying homage, make offerings, do confession, whatever we do, we can receive same blessings, same benefit as if we actually saw the Buddha in person. So therefore, it's very important to know that the merely being able to see the Buddha, see the Buddha's only small part, just as, even a small from the side of the Buddha, you will be blessed. Let alone just be having an eye contact with the Buddha. Everyone who attained arhatship from during the Buddha's time, and as a result of being his disciple, most probably all due to his blessed persona of a physical in holy bodily or attributes. So we must believe in that. That is the excellent Nirmanakaya. Whether it's not just human, even the animals, like wild animals, very wild, intoxicated elephant that was going on a rampage, destroying everything on its way. But as soon as its little eye spotted the Buddha, it completely dropped its, it became detoxified and knelt down before the Buddha. And instead of showing any aggression, he was showing this utmost respect. So Buddha's holy presence had such a blessing. That's why these days, after 2,600 years, we have all these Buddha rupas, all these Buddha statues, proliferating, even in the pockets of Churchill. They said he was always carrying a Buddha image wherever he went during those difficult periods. He always used the Buddha image to meditate on during the war as the Prime Minister of United Kingdom. And not to mention Gandhi and others. Everyone, even the ordinary Buddhist children, they wear a small pendant of the Buddha on their neck, just by having faith that is the Buddha. Actually have this incredible supernatural blessings to everyone. So, birth Nirmanakaya of Buddha, when the Buddha was born, even as a child, as a little infant, the earth shook 6 different ways. That the coming of such a blessed one in form in the world is an incredible maturation of the karma of all sentient beings. So the excellent Nirmanakaya of the Buddha is after dwelling in Tushita in the form of Shwetaketu, he then made survey when to come, where to be born, and which mother, what time, and so on. He deliberately made those 5 careful observations in order to make sure that his holy blessed Nirmanakaya manifests in the world for the benefit and healing of the troubled sentient beings. And not only did the Buddha's arrival in the world bless then, but even today, people like you and me, that we have a connection is because we have got to know the Buddha. It is his quality that is touching us all. So, the other are birth Nirmanakayas. Birth Nirmanakaya is the enlightened Buddha manifest. Even just reaching the first bhumi, they multiply as many as 100 times. They can multiply their body in 100. And then when the second, third, fourth, different bhumis, they multiply even more, much more. So therefore there are countless Buddha Nirmanakayas, birth Nirmanakayas, like His Holiness Dalai Lama and His Holiness Sakya Gongma teachers. They are all birth Nirmanakayas. Whether they are deliberately recognized officially or not, there are lots of other people in your life that has a lot of positive influence on you. And who knows who they are. They are all birth Nirmanakayas. Not to mention the artistic Nirmanakayas. There are lots of people holding Buddha images, saying the Buddha relics or tooth relics or Buddha's bone relics or incredible everywhere. Recently they from Sri Lanka, a group of monks traveled and they gave a Buddha relic to His Holiness Dalai Lama. It's such a big event, such a big event. Even 2,600 years later, such a tiny, almost like the relic itself maybe not even a size of a pea, not maybe even that. but it is put in incredible golden and various semi-precious caskets and brought all the way with great care. And then they realized how important it is that they should offer that to His Holiness Dalai Lama, and who they see as a living Nirmanakaya, carrying the legacy and activities of the excellent Nirmanakaya that was Shakyamuni Buddha. And so they came to give. And then, of course, His Holiness and his entourage all came out and receiving these as if it's the arrival of more than the Dalai Lama arrival. Why? It's because there's so much faith and devotion in the qualities of the Buddha's blessed Nirmanakaya, and even relics of it, even little piece of cloth, even little piece of hair. If you look at all the different relics they talk about, they're small, very, very tiny, highly visible, and they are, but they need not to be big, they need not to be big, and so these are inconceivable qualities of Buddha's holy body. If you look at the list of the 32 major marks and 80 minor marks, each of those different physical attributes of the Buddha are results of various noble actions that he carried out in former lives, such as perfection of generosity and so on. So all of the Buddha's beautiful attributes, physical body, is an embodiment of his qualities. So that's the qualities of the Buddha's body. And these days, of course, Buddha's images are proliferating everywhere, and you wouldn't believe how many people. Otherwise, they're all building blocks of concrete and various things, and they don't go to watch. They don't go to see bricks. They don't go to see timber. They go to see those big buildings, the stupas, because they're housing Buddha in it. Whether the material is made of jade or gold or silver. Is one way of people try to edify, this is jade Buddha, or this is pearl Buddha, or this is golden Buddha. But if some of the most original Buddha statues in India are not jade, not gold, they are actually sandstones. Gandhara arts, all the statues in India, they're all sandstones, so they do not need to be made from precious stones. But why people make out of precious stones? Because the qualities of Buddha's holy body, even a small iota of the Buddha's body, is more precious than all the wealth, all the jewelries and whole Australia put together on one scale, and one small relic of Buddha, we would still choose the Buddha relic. Why? Because of the inconceivable qualities of the holy body, blessed body of the Buddha. And it has what is the quality of Buddha? It makes everybody remember peace. Everybody remembers when they see the Buddha, peace and tolerance and non-violence. His body is actually, he's merely having image of the Buddha, or merely thinking people are Buddhist. People say, these people are peaceful, these people are non-violent. because instantly people can remember the Buddha's infinite qualities, such as non-violence and compassion. So that will do for the qualities of Buddha's body. Not that we can, not as it is, as I say, it's inconceivable to talk about it. And there are texts that actually give you the full detail of the 32 major and 80 minor marks and their qualities. So, and second qualities is quality of his speech. Now, quality of Buddha's speech has a melodies of 60 different melodies, and he taught gathas, sutras, he taught avadanas, jatakamalas, all the 12 branches of his holy scriptures, and to do with the 3 levels of the 3 higher trainings, Shila, Samadhi, and Prajna. All of these are taught by Buddha's speech, either directly from spoken words by him, or sutras that become a dialogue between some two other members in the audience, and the Buddha indoors, given by his blessings. All of these incredible holy books we have are all words of the Buddha. That is like every single phrase or pearl of the Buddha's wisdom is contained in his speech. And it wasn't the speech of the Buddha, there will be no celebrated scholars like Nagarjuna. There will be no great authors who write many books if it wasn't the Buddha's incredible, holy, blessed speech. The Buddha's holy speech is changes people. It completely transforms people. It makes them receive this most amazing message of truth. Timeless wisdom, Buddha's wisdom, is all taught through his speech. Even the fact that we can have this kind of classes and sessions, it's because it is based on the qualities of the Buddha's speech. These his realizations spoken in his discourses, sutras, and abhidharmas, and avadanas, jatakamalas, and the gathas, and gayatas. There are 12 such various things that Buddha has taught, and by reading them, by receiving people quoting the sutras, to even the great luminaries or scholars, even though they're very conversant with the teaching, they always quote sutras. They always quote gathas, jatakamalas, avadanas. Even the murals that are painted or reliefs in the rock reliefs, or in the ancient or modern, they all are based on avadanas, based on jatakamala stories. Because birth stories of the past Buddhas, his past lives, all of them were spoken none other than by the Buddha. And his words were so precious, they make sure that these are not forgotten. So they carved in rocks the reliefs. The very story is depicted through the manner, through the posture, through the kind of emotion, through the artistic expressions of Avadana. You go to Borobudur, you go to Angkor Wat, you go to Ajanta, Ellora, or Ranchi, Sanchi, in India, they have unearthed all these incredible artistic expressions of Buddha's life, Avadanas and Jatakamalas, based on the holy speech of the Buddha. And look at the wheel of life, Bhava Chakra, listing all the 12 links of interdependent. These are all graphic depiction of the holy, blessed speech of the Buddha. So therefore, fact that you and I can sit and listen and discuss this teaching is because it's all based on the pearl of wisdom of Buddha's words. It's not that any Tibetans are taught anything special. They have nothing. In Tibetans are wild people living behind mountains, living on animals. That's because there's nothing grows up there. But when the Dharma did penetrate to Tibet in the 7th century, it tamed those wild people and made all of their minds and hearts and incredible courage and devotion of the Tibetan people were completely tamed. Incredible. That's because of Buddha's speech, Tibetan young men went to India to listen to Indians who were quoting the sutras and the gathas and the jatakamalas, avadanas, and so on. The aphorisms, the proverbs, the stories, the parables, all are taught by Buddha. And these people return home couldn't wait to tell this what they heard, And that's what they got. Thus I have heard, Why? What they heard is so penetratingly true and like a nectar, and they cannot stop telling each other. Incredible. If it wasn't the enlightened speech of the Buddha, it wasn't the kind of how true the Dharma is, that we would not be quoting the Buddha as nearly. We are in the 21st century when people have to write miserable thesis saying it's my original writing, it's my original research. Oh, give me a break, Saying it's all my original writing, my research. Oh, what a lot of arrogance there. There's so many thousands of Buddhist scholars, so-called scholars, who have done masters or PhD. They still have to write that in the front of their thesis, saying this is my original writing. I hesitated. It's just difficult for me. If I produce a thesis with 700 footnotes, can I say it's my original writing? I'm quoting every lines of authoritative scholars and sutras and shastras, and then only my writing will be accepted as authentic. It says that if the teaching you give has to be traceable, that they are found in the sutras and tantras, that there have been title of the works heard among the panditas, that it has been translated from Sanskrit or Pali into another language, that it has been discussed and that text has actually attracted commentaries, and so on. So the qualities of Buddha's speech is every one of us is a speech-born disciples. By listening to His Holiness Dalai Lama, or reading works by celebrated masters and scholars of various times from early days, even as recent as Nagarjuna. I would regard even Nagarjuna recent. Nagarjuna is 2nd century AD. He's just the author of Shastras. Shastra is commentaries. These days we are studying so much more commentarial work without actually going and studying the sutras and the Jatakamalas. They are put in the shrine to worship to, while we actually edify the works of Shastra like Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna and Kamalashila and Aryadeva and Chandrakirti, Bhavya or Asanga, or all of these are Shastras. They are only authors of Shastra. They are commentators on the original teachings of the Buddha. They could not write anything original. If you look back, look at the background of each of them. They were all followers of other religious traditions. Why they gave those things up and became students of the Buddha? Because they were so enticed by the sutras and the parables and all the teachings of the Buddha. So they're all speech-born. They all became disciples because they have realized how true the teachings of the Buddha. These are what we call verbal teachings of the Buddha. And they mustn't just read a book that is in Buddhism, on Buddhism, but they must receive what we call agama. Agama means the oral transmission. Oral transmission, they must have heard from the teacher, from senior monks or senior practitioners. They must have heard. They go to attend the chanting of the sutras. And there the senior most monk will sit, everybody sit there and listen. What they do in the Theravadan tradition is beautiful, is they're actually reading the various sutras in the Vinayas and Abhidharma. They're not trying to read some 2nd century, 3rd century, 8th century scholars' book and teaching on them. They hardly don't spend any time on that. Although people like Buddha Ghosha and other celebrated Buddhist scholars have written commentaries, shastras, but they still always go back to the sutras and the original words of the Buddha. Why? Because it is just merely being able to have it read to their ears, it blesses them. We're not trying to make it very esoteric here. Blesses means changes you. Once you heard something, it completely changes you. That nothing like Dharma can change you in a very positive way. Even negative things can poison each other, influence people badly. But remember, when you hear the Dharma, because it is the enlightened speech of the Buddha that actually will change you in many different ways. So therefore, it is the quality of the gem of the Buddha's speech, holy speech, that's why we say holy texts of the Dharma books should not be left on the floor or should not step on them. We say those holy books should be put at the respectable places nicely in a very clean place and wrap it up with clothes and write them in gold, write them in silver. Why do they want it? They have nothing better to use the gold and silver for? No, they couldn't think of better way of using every syllable of the words of the Buddha is carved, written in gold and silver and turquoise. And why they did that? Because every single word the Buddha uttered is even one word the Buddha uttered is more precious than all the incredible amount of wealth and treasures you might have. So qualities of the Buddha gem, we think about the speech. Buddha's speech is the Dharma. Remember when we're going to talk next, following other session, talk about the Dharma, quality of Dharma gem, we will be talking about the very true how the Dharma is all spoken and taught by the Buddha. Buddha did not speak and teach the Dharma until he realized enlightenment. All of us are repeating what the Buddha taught and try to paraphrase, try to explain. We are not talking out of realization. We could do that if you have realization. But because the Buddha's words are realizational teachings, therefore it's very safe for us to go back to every single phrase, every single quotation, every single original verse, like sarva papa akaranam, they say, do not do any non-virtuous deeds, Sarva papa akaranam means one should not do any non-virtuous deeds. And then it also says, then you should do virtuous deeds and you should purify your mind. This is my teaching. So such kind of simple verses are quoted again and again because they are words of the Buddha. The Dhammapada, if you look at the Dhammapada in Pali literature, very, very beautiful. And we Buddhists should promote this kind of text. They are original sayings of the Buddha. Why? Because you don't have to try to say, this is secret, came in somebody's dream, this was discovered on rocks. We don't have to try to act as though you have some kind of an extraordinary source that came in the dream, that came inside the rocks. You don't have to make it so controversial. The words of the Buddha was heard by Ananda, by Shariputra, by Moggallanaputra, by Mahakashyapa, by Mahakatayana. And if you look at all the great Staviras, the Theravadan masters, all the arhats, they have heard every word of the Buddha. And they gathered together in Rajgriha at the sponsorship of King Ajatasattu during the first council. They decided they should make sure that these words of the teachings of Buddha was heard by so many celebrated scholars and monks, that we, in fear of losing them, they said they had the first convocation. And they make sure that these are heard and repeated. And when they finally decided that Ananda should repeat the first, because they realized Ananda, having spent over 25 years as Buddha's attendant, has heard most. Bahushrutra means one who has heard many. He is the one who has heard many. In those days, they don't call he's a well-read people. They call well-read people. This is a well-heard people, well-heard people. So when they realized, oh, Ananda was the one who has heard Buddha's speech most, then they gave the honor to him. All of their robes were put down. They didn't have a throne. That's how the story of the throne is. They put down 500 arhats. All of their robes were put stacked on each other. So imagine all of your jacket were put down, and then the 500 people's jacket put on, and then Ananda sat on it. That's exactly happened. They all offered their robes, and then Ananda sat on top of that, and then he said, "Thus I have heard." Ananda was Buddha's cousin, And then you see someone called Subhuti. If you really look at the Mahayana sutras, Buddha's, the interlocutor, one of the main interlocutor with the Buddha is Subhuti. Subhuti is half-brother of Anathapindika. And Anathapindika is the wealthy sponsor of the Buddha. And then having heard that his brother was so inspired to invite the Buddha and give whole of his kind of business offerings, that he just bought the whole Prince Jeta's grove and turned into a monastic center. And Subhuti couldn't believe his eyes, that what has happened to my brother? Who is this person who has changed him so much? He couldn't believe that his brother, who's so business oriented, completely became donors, most aggressive businessman, now became most generous benefactor of Dharma. And when he saw that, he realized that he's got to explore who is this person is. And then Subhuti became one of the main interlocutor of the Buddha, and disciple of the Buddha, by the way. Subhuti appears very much in the Mahaprajnaparamita Sutra, in Vajrakatra Sutra, and all of this. So they were not easy people. So therefore, when they have "thus I've heard," and because amazing thing is, once people heard the Buddha, they never would forget what he said. Why? Because not so much the person who heard is so good, has an art of non-forgetfulness. No, one who spoke. One who spoke was so enlightened that his power of speech has such a command that not only person who could remember word for word, but completely change the person. If you can see the Buddha with the eyes and it changes you, wait until you hear the Buddha and then changes you. It's because of the blessed speech of the Buddha. If the Buddha may appear to be saying something that everybody can hear, but everybody hears appropriate teachings relevant to them. This is the greatness of the speech of the Buddha's qualities. Qualities of the Buddha gem speech. Speech of the Buddha is that even not only Buddha, but if any one of the great teachers are teaching Dharma, they would also have similar effect. When there are thousands of people listening, everybody hear the teaching, what is appropriately necessary for them to hear. And it completely changes them that they never thought was going to happen to them. They first came out of curiosity. They first thought about some other purposes, these purposes. Like Krishna Gautami came to revive her son, revive her child. She was not interested to follow Buddhism or Dharma. But just where the Buddha spoke and where he looked with his kind eyes and compassionate mind and omniscient mind spoke to her, and she just completely changed her direction and her priority. When she returned, she wasn't asking for the child to be revived at all. Why? Because his power, what she heard had such a profound effect that the quality of the Buddha's speech is going to change you. That's why people put the Holy Scriptures in the house. They invite monks and lamas in the home. They have them read in the home to bless the house, to bless the sick, to remove the obstacles, to cause good crops in the community. They always reveal the Scriptures and read the Scriptures, and they dust them, they carry them, they read. Some people will read, others will roll their sleeves and bring generous amount of food, cook for everybody. They do that because it brings a lot of happiness, generosity, friendship, by having this opportunity to listen and read the Buddha Vachana. Buddha Vachana means the words of the Buddha. In the traditional Buddhist community, they may have the collection of the Buddhist Tripitaka in their home, but they don't leave it just to look nice. They actually have them read by the Sangha, and everybody attend to them. Others sponsor them. Others help them. So the scriptures are read and heard and taught on. Why? Because the qualities of the Buddha's enlightened speech is so powerful that even unassuming people will become completely changed. Everybody gets to hear the qualities of the Buddha's speech. And the Buddha's speech, of course, says that there's nothing nothing what the Buddha teaches will not suit to everyone. Everybody hears appropriately. It is said that if you were to listen to the Buddha, even you are near to the Buddha, there's no danger of being too loud. Even if you are sitting very far on the far away in the end of the rows, or far maybe a couple of 100 meters away, you will still hear his speech without any needing to amplify. These days we have to use all these gadgets to amplify. That those days Buddha could roar, lion roar they call it. It could be heard. Not only they can hear from far, but they can hear. Those people who are least interested, those who are, they will all wake up as a result of the teachings. Like a carving on the rock. It will not leave their little mind. It is starting to ticking. Something's changing ever since they heard the Buddha. People like Kaudinya, he attended Arhathood in the first sermon. He didn't have to attend so many Tuesday nights. He just attended the first sermon. That's it. Why? So because of the speech of the Buddha, enlightened mind of the Buddha has such a power and blessing. And it wasn't just Kaudinya, Aswajit, and Gawampit, and Aniruddha, and all the others all attend Arhathood. Even his very, very critics, those who did not really follow him, including his father, Shuddhodana, and his wife, Yashodhara, they were not really wanting to. They couldn't see in the beginning an enlightened one in the Buddha. They could see them as my son or my ex-husband. But once they heard the Buddha, they both get changed, completely changed. So the enlightened speech of the Buddha is the one that actually rocked the world. They changed the very kind of a landscape of Indian thoughts, Indian thinking. That thousands of miles away, monks from China and Japan and Tibet travel because they want to see where Buddha sat and taught that lesson. Incredible, So if there wasn't such an enlightened speech of the qualities of Buddha's speech, why would people go to Sarnath, Why would they go to see deer park? They don't have deer in their country, or what is they talking about, People will risk Delhi belly and go to India. Never mind if they get sick, they'll still go to India because they wanted to see where the Buddha taught that first lesson, where the Buddha taught the Heart Sutra, where the Buddha ordained women. And why the people have to take such an effort to go? Because there was such a profound effect beyond our expression from the qualities of Buddha's speech that enlightened so many people. Even the great many books these days written by many authors, it's not because who's the author who wrote it. It's what's all about. It's according to Dharma. It's called books on Buddhism, they call it. People ask what Buddhist books you recommend. They don't say what authors you recommend. So, because they know all Buddhism is taught by the Buddha. And sure, it may be interpreted differently by different authors. None of these are original writings of any Buddhist scholars. Come on. These are all the enlightened speech of the Buddha. That makes your writing worthy of actually showing to people. Because you're not writing some original delusion of yours. There are some people these days writing original delusion of theirs. And they might get quite a few thousands of readers, but does that benefit people? No, it plants doubts. It plants skepticism. Such literature is not useful. But when you read an authentic Dharma book, it will not sort of plant doubts in your mind, but it will make you to turn to the Dharma even more deeply than you have. So our faith in the Buddha, qualities, our faith in the devotion to the Buddha, we must see how much people have been changed. When I went to did a funeral today, and this family I've never met, but she said, "Oh, my mom read the Dalai Lama's books, and this is all about Buddhism." And she said, my mom loved the Dalai Lama's books because it's all Buddha's messages, all articulated by His Holiness Dalai. And that's exactly true. And it couldn't have been said even better than that. That's excellent. Not because the author is Dalai Lama. It's because there were Buddhism books. She was saying that very clearly, And out of the blue, she invited me to come and say some prayers to farewell her mother. Why? It's because we are all blessed by the Buddha's speech that we can actually have a place to do some little prayer for people because we are blessed lineage of the Buddha Dharma, Buddha lineage. Very highly anybody invite me because I'm Tibetan or I'm Sakya or I'm Nyingma. No. People invite me because I'm a disciple of the Buddha's teachings. And then might be say, oh, which country, which teacher, which lineage. That's very secondary, And all of our friendship is because of Buddha, because of the Dharma. And you wouldn't believe that some little Dharma that we know has completely saved you from many awkward situations. How much it's saving you from developing ill will and anger and resentment, impatience. It's because of the wisdom of the Buddha teaching is so much like engraved in your heart that you would not do that. You will not do that because you've heard the truth of the Buddha Dharma, that you believe in it so much that you rather tolerate and suffer than react and overreact. We have not realized the Dharma perfectly just yet because we're still a long way to go. But even as a beginner, you can see how much our own little mind is making small positive steps and changes. It's because of the qualities of Buddha's teachings that is soaking us, that is actually modifying us, changing us. So, qualities of the Buddha's speech. Now the third one is qualities of Buddha's mind. Now this has three qualities: quality of knowledge, quality of compassion, quality of power. Qualities of Buddha's wisdom is omniscient. Buddha knows everything. He knows individually all the factors that need to be known, such as what we talk about, the 10 powers, or 4 fearlessness, and 18 unmixed characteristics. All of those are qualities of Buddha's omniscient mind. If he were to necessary to talk about one of our past lives, he can tell every single lives we had, so many lives. And he will be able to tell where we will be in future lives. He is omniscient. Because he's omniscient, he knew exactly what to teach, who to teach, where to teach, what subject to teach, and therefore, like the 10 powers, they call. These 10 powers are power of understanding what is proper and what is improper, for instance. That is like by way of illustrating, when a person experiences happiness, Buddha knows which particular virtuous deeds that has resulted in happiness. The people themselves might feel, they're happy because they have a nice dog or they have a promotion or something, but actually that's not the real cause of their happiness. It looks like people think it's their cause. Buddha would see the past virtuous deeds the person has created. Likewise, he will see someone who's in a misery and blaming him or her, but Buddha knows that's not the cause of their misery. Their cause of misery is some other wrong deeds they have committed somewhere else. So Buddha is able to know appropriately what is proper and what is improper. Part of understanding karma and their consequences. Buddha taught nobody could see that the karmic merit that one householder had when he was requesting to be ordained. All the venerable senior monks said, you don't have any karmic merit, that makes you fit to be ordained. So he was rejected by all the arhats. But Buddha checked carefully and he said, no, he has merit. He has merit of being born as a pig who was chased by a dog, and the pig, in fear of being beaten by the dog, ran so fast he circumambulated stupa by mistake, by mistake. Just by merely circumambulating the stupa out of fear, the pig circumambulated the stupa. Buddha said he's got merit from doing that, therefore ordain him. None of those other arhats could see that. And they thought he was not sort of eligible or something. So Buddha knows every single karma. When a venerable monk who could chant the Buddhist sutras incredibly melodiously, everybody would stop and doing they got to listen his chanting. Yet when they came to look at him, he had an awful kind of face. His face was very deformed and doesn't really look good at all, even as a normal. Not that a monk doesn't have to be beautiful, it's probably a blessing. But everybody intrigued and asked the Buddha, why is this venerable has such amazing melodious speech that can delight everyone who listens to him and come and stop. But when they look at him, they get really so sad because he's got such a unpleasant appearance. And of course nobody can tell because why he's like that. Then Buddha said, yes, in very many lifetimes before, he was a merchant and then he carried his commodity from village to village on a horse caravan and donkeys, and he traveled from east to west and north to south, travel. And one day they were traveling, and then there was a big stupa construction project that has basically, a construction project has taken over the road of the animal carriage track. So he was very inconvenienced by the construction work that has taken over the path. And then he was very furious, and then he complained, "Oh, this ugly structure blocking my way." He said the ugly structure or something. He just disparaged the statue, the stupa project, as an ugly structure blocking my way, so to speak. So he said that is the karma of why he's being born with such a repulsive looking face, was because he said the stupa was very ugly or something, But then it is said that a few years later, when he was still walking past, the stupa was finished. Stupa was beautifully finished and looked very nice, Then he almost felt very guilty that he had criticized the stupa project being ugly. So he offered a chime. He offered a chime to hang on the stupa, and then of course chimes, So Buddha said he received a good speech from offering the chime to the stupa. He received a bad face by criticizing the project as being ugly. So nobody could tell that, but Buddha could tell incredible many lifetimes before, and of course everybody became very, very careful thereafter to make comment about other things, So you should never make a negative remark, Never use a harsh speech or condescending remark, but very mindful. Even just to having thought like that, it has a very... People who've been thinking bad thought, they are born with a lot of problems. They have a lot of emotional problems. They don't have faith. They cannot have faith. They have a lot of ill will. Or they have a lot of doubt. They don't have faith. It's difficult for them to have faith. They have very easy to have doubt. And they are born like that because they did such things. They're influencing each other to doubt and to be suspicious. They don't promote harmony and respect. So therefore we have to be very mindful, because we are listening to the Buddha's speech. Because of the Buddha's speech, we take refuge. We recite mantras. We recite Om Mani Padme Hum again and again and again, because these are blessed speech of the Buddha and his disciple, and his disciple, his disciple. And then in 21st century it comes through likes of His Holiness Dalai Lama's speaking. And then we repeat it. Why? Because it's a blessed oral transmission of the mantra came all the way from the earliest source, the Buddha himself. And then it has been blessed everyone, and that's why we deliberately receive the transmission. And then we not only receive transmission, but we make vow to repeat them at least 21 times or 100 times or whatever it is. Why? Because the blessed speech has so much power to change you. I remember His Eminence Chogi Trichin was telling us, we were doing lots of mantras all the time. He says, this will unknot you in the future. He says, this will basically empower you, bless you, to have blessed kind of positive energy or blessings through that. I definitely believe that. Spending years reciting the mantras out of faith and devotion to your guru, and who is influenced by his guru and his guru, and believing that every single mantra and tantra and sadhana we recite, sutra or tantra we recite, we do so out of amazing belief in the blessed words of the Buddha, Buddha Vachana. Buddha Vachana, therefore we hear through the oral transmission of our teachers. And so why we have to receive oral transmission, and then why we therefore make a great promise to recite that each day, if you are practicing regularly, because you are blessed. You are blessed to have faith in the blessed recitation of mantras and the sutras, and you should not only recite them, but you should recite them that these are thought realization of the Buddha, and it will bless me. And don't become bored in the number of times you repeat. People always say, I want to do the short one. And they think the long one is demanding or something. It's ridiculous. Every single page, the extra you read, will bless your mind and speech like no other time. You have to have faith that those sadhanas and texts that you're given to recite is blessed writings of realized masters. These realized masters are either prophesied by the Buddha or guided by Dakinis or blessed by lineage masters. You're not reading anybody's authored books. You're reading the celebrated luminaries of like the 84 Mahasiddhas or the great lineage masters, their writings of the sadhanas. So don't try to cut corners. Try to do always the short one, as you're too busy to be doing it. You're too busy to be lazy. Why you don't have another 20 minutes to do the long version? It's because you haven't really heard enough of the power of the speech of the Buddha. By reciting it thoughtfully, mindfully, it will bless you many times. If you try to do calm abiding meditation or something, you will get drifted and dull and focus can't. But you recite the some mantras and dharanis and sadhanas, your 1 hour will go quickly like that. You wouldn't have even time to fall asleep. Particularly if you sit in the right posture and avoid the dullness and laziness. Every single line of words that you repeat once or twice or 3 times, you do that with great belief that it is the most best thing I can do at the moment. And so you should believe that, and therefore open the book, put on the head that it's the blessed words of the Buddhas and lineage that has given to me, and we should have lots of faith. Buddhism is incredibly practiced with faith. There's no Buddhism without beliefs, okay? There is Buddhism with beliefs. Believe in the holy words of the Buddha. Believe in the oral transmission. We deliberately go to India or we bring teachers to give us oral transmission, give us this, because they came from his teacher, and his teacher was given by his teacher, and all the way it goes back to Nagarjuna. And then Nagarjuna is special, but Nagarjuna heard from his teacher and goes back all the way to Ananda, Rahula, And I can only see half a dozen names listed between Nagarjuna and Rahula. I couldn't believe it. It's like 800 years, But there would be much more, many names they just forgot in the middle. But we all believe that the oral transmission was not lost. And that's why the Dharma is so strong in us, because it's the blessed word of the Buddhas, Buddha's speech. Buddha knew that this will keep the Dharma very strong and active. So Buddha has power to know the karma. Buddha has power to understand various aspirations. Every single Dharma, whether Sutra or Tantra, all 84,000 discourses were tailored according to people. Some he taught the cause and effect. Others he says there is not this, not this, there is not this. So that every single teaching, even though it looks like most internally contradictory, they are not. Because every single audience and members of the teaching were different. So Buddha tailored those teachings. He knows exactly, he has multiple way of teaching the same topic to suit people of different levels of intelligence, temporary or ultimately. Because he understands the natural temperaments of all sentient beings, therefore his teachings are even in the Pratimoksha. It's called Pratimoksha. If you look at Theravada, it's all about Pratimoksha. Pratimoksha means individually tailored liberative teachings. Okay? Why? Because Buddha knows some people cannot do that. Some people can do that. So for the people who can do that, he taught this. People who cannot do that, he taught the other. So there is no kind of one and only teaching that there's only one way type of narrow and kind of a very very fundamentalist view. Dharma is very wide because Buddha was able to read the thoughts and interests of everyone, and he was able to give, say, the pratimoksha vows, the 8 pratimoksha vows. Triple refuge pratimoksha vow, just the refuge. Then people can take 1 vow pratimoksha vow, 2 vow pratimoksha, 3 vow, or 4 or 5, and then they have in a limited time, like 24-hour upashada pratimoksha vows. Lay people can take 8 precepts just for 24 hours. Then there are shramaneras, novice monks and novice nuns. They can take 36 vows. Then there are fully ordained monk, bhikkhu and bhikkhuni vows. Buddha tailored as many as 8 types of pratimoksha vows. Why? Because he knew that not everybody will be able to become fully ordained monk or nun, even if they did, But how many will able to actually practice that? So therefore he made all 24-hour vows. Almost like 24-hour vows like uposada. Uposada meaning they're trying to pretend they try to practice 24 hours like a monk does every day. So to give them a sample of what's like, and therefore arouse faith in the monastics, how they live that every day. If the monastic actually did live the 8 vow like every day, of course it really will inspire faith in you, because for you to give up lunch dinner is not easy, But they give up dinner every day, or for instance, and then you inspire, and they don't go and make lots of big money and profit, and they don't try to save money like most householders do, and then you realize how contented they are with simple possessions, just food and so on, always humble to receive whatever people put in the alms bowl. All these things are Buddha tailored for the lay people to be able to offer merit by offering food to the monk. Monks are not begging food because they're poor. They're begging for food so that the lay people have opportunity to make connection to the Dharma through offering food. Buddha himself could go without food. He went food without 6 years without food, before enlightenment. Why would he have to go after every 11 o'clock in the morning? He was going there to help sentient beings to create karmic connections. One time, it said the Buddha had to eat horse fodder-like food. Ananda was so upset, and why should I? He used to live with such luxurious food. Now the food is so ordinary. Buddha said, "I don't need any food. What are you talking about?" Then Buddha gave 1 grain of wheat from his mouth. He took out and gave it to Ananda to chew it. Once Ananda chewed it, for 7 days he didn't feel hungry. Buddha himself is not begging because he doesn't have food. He doesn't need the food. Likewise, the monastics are not begging food because they can't make an earning or they can't make an income. They do that out of humility and contentment so the lay people can offer food. See, Buddha tailored practices for the lay people to be able to create karma and merit by making offering to the lay Asanga. Asanga able to teach the Dharma through the food connection, And the other day I visited a Thai temple here and there were lunchtime, always lots of people there. There's half a dozen monks there, but there are 20 lay people. Everybody's bringing food, cooking. And one of the lady, of course, when she spotted me, of course, she realized we are unusual visitors, And then she started talking, and I was interested. I said, "How many times do you come here?" She says, at least 3 times a week. And then she says, I'm not Buddhist. She says, I love offering food. I love offering food to the monks and then meet all this community every day. It gives me so much happiness. So they're not sort of always cooking for me and like that kind of thing. Cooking for everybody, brings, at least there will be 5, 15, 20 people. They bring one dish, but they'll bring enough for everybody. They're very generous. And that is their Dharma. Their Dharma is practicing generosity. And the monks, of course, are there to receive the people's dana, but they all makes people to bow down before the Buddha, which is incredible. This lady said, I'm not actually Buddhist, I'm Christian. She's a Thai. She said, we are just minority, but I still love the culture of Thai culture of offering food to the monks, and I come here 3 times a week, she says, minimum. These kind of positive merit-making karma in the Buddhist community is because of the qualities of the Dharma gem and the Sangha gem, how they're honored properly in the true Buddhist community, where there is a true Buddhist community established. If you don't have fully ordained monks and nuns, doesn't mean you should not come together and be generous. You can still create that kind of avenue regularly and do the practices and develop your notes, share your notes, and be supportive when each other needs, and try to create a Dharma community that actually meets together and do things for each other, and not always saying, I'm not free, I'm not free. Nobody has got any time to do anything. Minimalist. These are not Buddhists, these are minimalists. So Buddhists have to do as maximum in order to create the Sangha because of their common bond with Dharma, because their Buddha is such a rare, incredible gem that they have in their lives, and through that they have a living Sangha. And so that's why Buddha has tailored power of understanding various classes of mental faculties. Buddha understands every single different level mental intelligence. Power of understanding various paths leading to their corresponding destination. The Buddha taught Sarvakayana, Pratyekayana, Bodhisattvayana. All of these different vehicles Buddha taught, because some people will prefer to be solitary. Other people will like to be literalist. Other people were, the Theravadins are very literalist. They really only stick with the Buddha's words, and even that in Pali language, even that in Sanskrit language. And it's good on them. Pali hasn't died. Pali language hasn't died as a result of being faithful, that they think the Buddha taught in Pali. Definitely Buddha was able to teach in Pali. I have no doubt about that. So whether Buddha taught in English or don't know, I have no idea. But definitely the language we have in English right now probably didn't exist then, this kind of English. But the Pali language definitely is one of the languages the Buddha taught in. There was no doubt about that. So that's why all these Buddhists are chanting all these prayers in Pali, and in Sanskrit Buddhism is not there really. Sanskrit Buddhism is dead. Sanskrit Buddhism is no longer Buddhism taught or chanted in Sanskrit. Only few academic philologists can read in Sanskrit, but otherwise no Tibetan, no Japanese. Japanese try to say in Sanskrit, it sounds very awful. And Tibetan said is even worse, they all got awful pronunciation. So they have translated into their own languages, and they're pretty contented with that because the gist is there. They're so sweet in their own language. So why? Because it's Dharma, because of the power of knowing the defiled, immaculate meditative concentration. Buddha was able to tell people not only different meditation and different levels of meditation, but flawed meditation, the kind of pitfall of meditation. He's having spent and experienced different levels of meditation, he's able to tailor that accordingly. And Buddha is able to remember previous rebirth. He will also can tell what our past life was. being able to remember all the past lives. And also he will know exactly when you and I will die, how we will die, and what rebirth there awaits us. He can tell if necessary to tell. And because he has the foreknowledge, And Buddha is completely fearless. Buddha has achieved 4 fearlessness. 4 fearlessness is, the first is fearless to assert that he has extinguished all negativities. Buddha has so much competence, so much fearlessness, because he has completely overcome all negativities. Second is fearlessness to assert that he has attained the perfect realization. Buddha's teaching and his manner and how he teaches and the effect that he teaches to others is due to his fearlessness of complete realization. He knows exactly what it is. Therefore, he can give simple instructions, but he knows exactly that is appropriate to individual person. Third is the self-confidence to reveal the path of the antidotes to the purpose of others. When Buddha taught the Kissa Gotami, when Buddha taught Angulimala, whatever he gave the antidote, they were exactly appropriate to them. They never sort of became ineffective. The very instructions he gave became the most liberating art to transform those people. Self-confidence to reveal the things to be discarded for the purpose of others. Buddha was able to teach not to drink, for instance. Not drinking was a very old teaching in Buddhism. These days, not drinking and driving together is a recent invention. Drinking and driving not allowed together, but still they think drinking is safe otherwise. Buddha never said drink and drive. He said drink, stop drinking alcohol, full stop. Those days they didn't have many sophisticated drinks. Buddha knew from then that drinking was a great ill of living. And to many households, there are many homes. They are very peaceful. There's no conflict. There's no violence. There's no domestic violence. Why? Because there's no drinking in the home. Incredible. Where there's a violence, where there's aggression in homes, it's because one, if not quite a few of them, drinks. If they're seeing both father and mother drinks, then kids have no hesitation to pick up whenever they're allowed. Buddha's teaching was so powerful, incredible. I'm sure it was, even the Muslims, I should have said even the Muslims, our Muslim brothers and sisters also don't drink, not because they're monk or nun, because they're Muslims. I'm sure Muhammad was influenced by the Buddha, because he came much later, This idea of not drinking was such an incredible wise instruction, how to live, not to soak yourself into alcohol. Even culturally, just drink water, safe and free. Even it costs $4, doesn't matter, drink water. If you remember, if you have really faith in Buddhism, we must listen not to drink. And you wouldn't believe how many people have stopped drinking. And they realize how much their lives change, because they really pay heed to the Buddha's teachings. So he doesn't say things what to do, what not to do, unless there's amazing reason. Buddha doesn't say things to entertain you temporarily for today. It might be hard, bitter pill to swallow, but once you start bitter pill to swallow, it will start curing you and healing you. The quality of Dharma gem that we pay heed to is because Buddha said them. Buddha knew what he was teaching, and so that if you are adhering to Dharma and your life is helping, it's because Buddha taught that. It's his original prescription that he gave to whoever, and it's a ditto. It can be applied to anybody. So in this way, Buddha had completely possessed the four fearlessness to teach the Dharma. And it's timeless wisdom. It's not something that is relevant in his age, or maybe was powerful, was relevant in 8th century, but it's not so relevant in 21st. It's not like that. Some people think like that. Oh, Buddhist Vinaya is very, very impractical. Buddhist Vinaya is completely adaptable. It's the orthodox who think, who are very orthodox, they are trying to make it narrower and narrower and becoming very, very rigid and very, very difficult. That's why all the 18 Nikaya schools were broken up in Buddhism as early as the 3rd, 4th century. Why? Because they couldn't agree to one mode of practice of the Vinaya. They're all modified and adapted differently. If Buddha didn't say adapt according to time and place, why would 18 Nikayas were permissive? Why the 18 Nikaya emerged? Because Buddha said you can adapt. Why can't we adapt the Dharma and the teachings according to time and places? So that's why adaptation doesn't mean watering down the original teachings out of disrespect or out of carelessness, out of that, but due to consensus, Sanga's consensus. If there is such Sangha consensus, they should all come and adapt them. Buddha himself said you can do that. But quite a lot of Sanghas don't have the competence to agree to do some changes. That's because of their rigidity of their culture and they are brought up, and then that's why some adaptations definitely is warranted if we really know the Buddha's thoughts. Buddha did say that the Vinaya should be adapted according to place and time. It doesn't mean that the original Vinaya itself have to thrown out of the window. It means adapted. You can see the color of the robes were adapted according to the hot countries. They wear very light colors, and much colder countries, you can see they are Dharma color, but they are much more warmer colors. Not only the colors are warm, but also they are woolen. In hot climates, you can't offer the monks a woolen robes because it's too hot. So even though you, out of respect, you want to offer the woolen, but they wouldn't wear. So you have to therefore adapt accordingly. Buddha himself had such a wisdom. Buddha's quality of unforgetfulness, complete unforgetfulness, great compassion, great mindfulness, great loving kindness, great joy, and no matter what terrible things are happening, it will never dampen the Buddha's morale in his incredible joy of being in the great blissful state. He will not be overwhelmed by anything, crying and sobbing, not like that. His mind is completely cannot be changed, could not be affected, because his quality of mind, real wisdom is so much. His compassion is unparalleled, no match Buddha's compassion. There's not a single person was turned away because he makes mistake or he had some terrible karma or habit. The more, even the Angulimala who killed nearly 1,000 people was unquestionably, without any judgment, received with open arms. Even the Ajatasattu who killed his own father, and other who killed his mother, others who killed Arhat, everyone Buddha forgave them and admitted into the order because of his infinite loving kindness and compassion. So it is not just Mahayana that has promoted loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. Whole qualities of Buddha. Our Theravadan brothers believe apramana metta bhavana, apramana karuna bhavana, apramana upeka bhavana. and so on. They all promote the four immeasurables. They call Brahma Viharas. They call differently, but they definitely believe in infinite loving kindness, infinite compassion. So don't think that the disciples of the Buddha, the Arhats, these Theravadins who are senior, who are elder in knowing and hearing the Buddha, they actually have the teachings preserved as authentically as they have. We shouldn't be prejudicial as if they have kind of a motivation to attain their own individual nirvana for themselves. That it's possible even with anybody who might be doing that, because we're so used to being selfish. So it doesn't have to be Theravadin, it just have to be sentient being. Even if you think, even you wear a Mahayana hat, we are still very selfish. There's no sign of us becoming, dropping selfishness at all. Even you may have made a vow not to, but there's the most central problem of every sentient being is selfishness. So the Buddha has tailored teachings out of his compassion. His compassion is unparalleled, as I mentioned. He wants everyone to be met with happiness and the cause of happiness. He wants everyone to be parted from the suffering and the cause of suffering. He is contemplating in deep meditation how he can best cause this happen. Even his meditation is out of loving kindness, so that he wishes us to be met with happiness and cause of happiness, be parted from suffering and the cause of suffering. Why would he rise up so early and meditate early morning? Doesn't he need sleep? No, his meditation is infinite loving kindness and compassion. Our elder monks and nuns who rise early and do the sadhana, do the Buddha paritas and chantings in Theravada, they do so. They have so much metta bhavana to sentient beings. They think they metta bhavana just to themselves. Mahayana almost depict as the Theravadins have no loving kindness to other sentient beings. Come on, that's a complete misinterpretation. They do. They observe the sutras and Vinaya by the book out of incredible devotion to the Buddha. They're not biased to one lineage or against lineage. They're actually totally devoted to the Buddha. And they are Buddhists because they follow one Buddha. They don't try to follow a different Buddha as their Buddha is naked, or their Buddha is blue, or their Buddha is yellow, or their Buddhas have a hat. Other Buddhas don't. They're not divided by such small minorities. So we too need to remember the quality of the Buddha gems: holy body, holy speech, holy mind. And then the qualities of Buddha's qualities, incredible. Qualities of Buddha's qualities are beyond words. You just have to meditate. You just have to sit. And it has such a ripple effect, those who know the Dharma. And even ordinary people like us become thanked by people for teaching them. We don't have any enlightened qualities. We're still on the path. We're still on the path of accumulation. If we can say that, even that would be a little bit presumptuous. Who knows whether we're on a path of accumulation or still struggling on the gate of the path of accumulation, not quite being able to get inside. Even our little pleasant benefit to help each other is because of the quality of the Buddha. Tibetans are very difficult people. But look, now everybody thinks that Tibetans got Buddhism. And people are throwing their lives for their teachers and for their schools or for their centers. These are because we are all blessed by the Buddha's qualities, that we are worthy of being loved or respected, not because we have anything to offer. We can offer you how to make tsampa or sweet rice or something like that. You don't need any recipe from Tibetans how to cook food. There's nothing for you to learn. It's the qualities of Buddha that has blessed our culture last 1300 years, because we were so stubborn, and we just remained loyal, and we turned out to be correct. Turned out to be blessed decision to follow Buddhism and not the other way. And so that's why it's frozen, has it? For a while it did. So it's Buddha's quality that Tibetans have an actual identity today. That we actually have even His Holiness Dalai Lama is not because he's His Holiness Dalai Lama, because he's a Buddhist, because he's a Buddhist monk. His Holiness says he never dreams as Dalai Lama. He always thinks of Buddhist monk, which is very beautiful, Exactly. The Buddha's qualities of the Buddha, even the color of the robe, even because people wear a robe, people are, because they think they are blessed disciples of Buddha, and they treat you. In Thailand, all the monks never have to pay taxi fare, bus fare. You can all hop in every bus, a taxi, and train free. And airplanes too. I don't know to what extent. But you have to show a certificate or something. I remember talking to some Tibetan monk when he went to Thailand first time. He didn't have to pay any airfare or any in the 60s, in the 60s. I don't think these things happen nowadays because there's so many traveling. Why? Because it's because you are ordained person, because you are Buddhist. And the qualities of Buddha is such that even to the ordinary people, they say, oh, he's a monk, he's a Lama, don't worry. You just free admission again. Free admission. Not because of that, but people have such a positive outlook or respect to the Buddhists and monks and Dharma people. Like we have never heard people's wallet being stolen, because nobody locks their rooms in Siba or whatever. They never heard a story of people's wallet being stolen or like that. Why? Because nobody does. Nobody does. It's just qualities of Buddha's teaching completely tames and changes people's behavior. People otherwise have to always lock the doors and always suspicious who's there. They never have to worry about it, because people are so sure that we are so blessed and changed and transformed by the qualities of Dharma knowledge that even if they did something, oh, he won't do anything, he's a Buddhist, Oh, he wouldn't do that, they are Buddhist. And quite a lot of Buddhists are really like that. Oh, they say in the caring profession in Australia, they say, oh, we have a Nepalese nurse, she's so nice. They say, they think the old Nepalese Buddhists, whether they are or not, definitely they are very good people. They're very hardworking. You wouldn't believe it. Quite a lot of Asian caregivers are very, very genuine. When they see the old people, they have incredible love and kindness to them on top of their professional duties. Because when they see them, they don't treat them as a job or object of job. They just treat them with kindness, because they remember of their mother and father, and who they have no privilege to serve, but they can serve now. And like that. So the qualities of the Buddha Dharma, Buddha is such that it changes the social behaviors of people. Qualities of Buddha is not only to others, but how interpersonally, how does the Buddha Dharma's qualities actually makes our perception towards each other much kinder, less reactive, less judgmental. Even if most of us still have karma. When certain karma ripens, other people will judge each other harshly, throw stones at each other. But those people who have real Dharma qualities, who have real refuge in the Buddha, they will not judge each other. Why? Because they remember the teachings of the Buddha's quality does not allow them to judge and run and react and childish. There are lots of Buddhists like that who are completely un-Buddhist. They have no understanding of Dharma because they haven't studied enough. They haven't heard enough. They're not behaving as a Buddhist because they haven't really been soaked or influenced enough by not knowing the Buddha very well. If they really know the Buddha qualities of Buddha gem, Buddha's body, speech, mind, and omniscient, and qualities, and enlightened activities. All of these things, these days, Dharma proliferating everywhere, and this is all enlightened activities of Buddha. Enlightened activities of Buddha is that how many good things people are doing to each other. Like we are completely supported by volunteers. Our organization wouldn't exist because we're not an organization that are like a couple 100-year-old like Christian organizations that got lots of things and can afford to pay. No, all our activities are completely supported and by volunteers. These are enlightened activities of Buddha. These are activities of the Buddha that is making people that are doing things for each other. We have when we did a retreat a couple of years ago, we all flew up to Rockhampton. All the Sangha there, billeted everyone, flew from everywhere. They never have to find any hotels. That should be the case. That's what we want to encourage now. When we run retreats, we want others, like the forthcoming retreat in Vajrayogini, we wanted to encourage people in Canberra or wherever their retreats are, try to open the arms and offer your spare room or some to fellow Dharma brothers and sisters to stay there so that they can come attend the retreat. These kind of things should happen. Instead of thinking, 3-bedroom and there's only 3 people can stay there type of thing. Why can't we open the living room for someone to lie down or sleep or like that? You can do that. So there are lots of generosity already in people, but once in the Dharma they become even more generous. These are all due to the positive enlightened activities of Buddha. It's the Buddha activity that we are learning to be kind. We know many people who have incredibly generous, not only with money, but their time, not just once, not just twice, continuously. You should do that, and you should remember that is a Buddha activity. This is one of the qualities of Buddha that makes you to do, and you will never go wasted, I bet you. Even you don't get complimented, even you don't get the card of appreciation like some organization do. I have never seen us giving any card of appreciation because they're Buddha activities. If you really want to show the card of appreciation, offer the Buddha, you bow down to the Buddha for these activities that's happening due to the great fellowship by us all having faith in the Buddha. So therefore, the qualities of Buddha, which is just beyond our words and imagination, largely are qualities of the holy body, holy speech, then omniscient mind, which is the qualities of omniscient mind, compassion, and power. The power that Dharma has, that to change us in the way we never imagined, is unprecedented. You don't need to bend spoon. You change your thoughts. You wouldn't believe how difficult people are to change their minds. Wait until they hear the Dharma, they'll change their thoughts. Because they will first watch through how to sit still with posture and then the breathing. Slowly they are now handling their thoughts. Now they're changing their thoughts, feelings, emotions. That is the power of the Buddha, power of the Dharma. Buddha's mind, it is sort of getting you to change your thoughts of poor me. How dare he do this to me? All of that, now you are changing. You are dropping your wrong views, habits, and adopting small positive habits, positive conduct, because this is the power of the Buddha. Power of Buddha, if you particularly have faith and devotion and take refuge regularly, take refuge not only as formality at the beginning of teaching, but repeatedly whenever you can, it will give greatly change. So the refuge in the triple gem, really important, and particularly if you know the qualities of Buddha gem. If you know the quality of the Buddha gem, which I have tried to go over a little bit tonight and the previous week, you wouldn't believe when we talk about the quality of Dharma and quality of Sangha and so on, how they all came from the qualities of Buddha. Because without the Buddha's enlightenment, the very special quality of Dharma that we enjoy, we practice, we study, we read, we teach, we translate, it's all because of they came from the deeds, enlightened activities, compassionate mind, enlightened mind, and blessed speech of the Buddha gem. So that's why it's important for the Buddhists to know the qualities of Buddha, and so that their refuge is not just mere kind of a lip service. That the refuge itself is the incredible meditation. Itself doesn't have to be preliminary. It is the main practice. For people who realize that Dharma's refuge is the practice, you don't need to do many things, just do refuge. That's what Atisha used to tell in Tibet. And I admire him for many things, but this one I can't even fathom how wonderful he was in telling Tibetans just to practice refuge. And if you have refuge, then you're not going to follow some schools or lineages, traditions as more important. Your refuge in the triple gem hinges all your practice together. Because if you have the refuge in the triple gem, by knowing the qualities of Buddha gem, quality of Dharma gem, quality of Sangha gem, however limited our understanding is, little we know, it's incredible. You know, the culture of the thing doesn't have to be big quantities. And what is the culture? Culture is refuge in the triple gem. But first, refuge in the Buddha gem. You know, there was no triple gem at the beginning. There was no gem at all. First gem came Buddha gem. It took long time. He had a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles in the way from him becoming Buddha. But after a long effort, there was a Buddha gem. Only when he got enlightened, then his realization became the Dharma gem. So the qualities of Buddha's body, speech, mind, enlightened activities, when we talk about the qualities of Dharma gem, it's all qualities of the Buddha's realization. Because realization of the Buddha is the Dharma gem. And when he spoke about it, it becomes scriptural Dharma. And so all the things, the qualities that we will discuss about the Dharma, because if you look at any facets of the teaching, how beautiful those teachings are, whatever the topics are, it's because they all came from the realization of the Buddha gem, who's very rare. So the triple gem didn't come at the beginning together, you know. First people took refuge in the Buddha. And then when Buddha passing away, the monks were instructed by Buddha, look, I'm not the refuge, Dharma is the refuge. they thought again, you know. Then they realized, oh God, the Dharma is the main refuge, because Buddha passed away and he won't be there unless you visualize, meditate, and which people learn to do later on by remembering the Buddha. And then the thing that enables them to remember Buddha so much was because of Dharma he taught. Because Dharma is so precious to make them connect with Buddha, and then the Sangha become even more important, because without the Sangha you couldn't have enough Dharma. And then the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha become the triple is as they have to go hand in hand. So that's why later on in the teachings we will look at the outer, inner, and the inner secret triple gem. And of course, first we have to understand the outer conventional Buddha gem, outer conventional Dharma gem, outer conventional Asanga gem. First we have to understand the qualities of conventional Buddha gem, Dharma gem, Sangha gem, outer. And then we will look at how these Buddha gem qualities, the outer Buddha gem quality, how we can internalize that as inner Buddha gem, and so on. And how that is going to be secret Buddha gem through our development of mind. Once we know the sufficient qualities of the Buddha gem, Dharma gem, Sangha gem. It's very important that we remember the quality of triple gem all the time. And it's particularly very auspicious to be talking and reflecting and having your attention in the Sakadawa. People celebrate Buddha's birth, passing away, and enlightenment. And if you remember the quality of the triple gem and renew your refuge, renew your appreciation, joy, and gratitude to the Sangha, to the lineage. Of course, the lineage is very important. I'm not saying the lineage is not important. Your lineage is even more important, more special because of your refuge in the triple gem. And that it's the lineage of the triple gem that is the lineage of. No Sakya gem, no Sakya lineage, no Kagyu lineage, no Gilu lineage. None of these things, lineages, are independently important. We need to know that these lineages are propping, holding the triple gem and its teachings. Then our loyalty or our friendship to our Sangha and to our community, working together, helping each other, is utmost important because we do it for the Buddha Dharma. And because we can't get involved with every other groups, so it's good to be working together to the groups which you have strong connection to and nearest and easy to hold and help and work and study and benefit each other. So the Sangha is very, very precious. The lineage or groups or based on ethnicity or traditions are important, but only because of the triple gem, not other way around. So with this we will conclude here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your attention, and your merit of being here is good for you because you have read and you listen and you study Dharma, but it's really important to deepen our understanding of how precious the Buddha is, and then look at the Buddha gems, statues, and how we honor them and how we practice them and the Dharma and so on. Try to deepen our understanding and devotion a little bit more than we used to have. Not just make a monotonous way of doing things, but otherwise feels like a little bit a chore type of thing. That's not really. That means we are not spending time to reflect deeply in a deepest appreciation, an incredible appreciation of the Dharma. I sometimes sit in my sadhana like that. I just rejoicing the Dharma and incredible Buddha that is so rare to come. And it completely makes your day, weeks, years. Every single problems are just so small when you have the Dharma. So that is really true. I'm sure that's the same to you too. Thank you very much. Let's do the dedication merits. Because Ezama Abara de Lava following all the Zamba Aja de Dege O de Mera Meda Exalam Bodi Jeda Keba Erana Yedanza as Bembo Medengre Frele Vedad General. Thank you very much, everyone. By the way, since I'm here online, next week, of course, next Thursday is actual Sagadawa itself. So we will have celebrate the Sagadawa online like this with the short teaching on the theme, but mainly we'll do also a 16-hour puja online together with that. So those who are in Canberra, please come at Holder, our center. We will be doing from there. Those of you, of course, you can join wherever you're from in style. Thank you very much.